Hello.
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 Oh, that's nice and gentle. So we can jump on now. That's good timing. The song's finished.
Beautiful. Live with the girls.
Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. 12 minutes past 5 here at Wow FM and everywhere else, I think. We've got Joanne Stutley in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Oh, good to have you. You've already started with a good chat,
We have,
so let's continue that. Firstly, well, where do we start? Where do we start? I think you're a very interesting, beautiful person. I don't know where to start with you.
Ask me whatever you like. That's what I said.
Well, let's talk about the market shed. Let's talk about organics in the market shed and Dahl, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so the market shed. Now, when would have that been? It seems so long ago. Yet part of that was with a woman called Zanny Flanagan, a beautiful woman who started the farmers market at Wollonga and Adelaide Showground markets. And then I collaborated with her and a group of others to do an organic market called the Market Shed on Holland, which then went on to become Plant 4, successful Plant 4, and now I believe they've got Plant 3. So I went off on another direction and thought that I might start a shop involving Ayurveda, and then I called that Kitchery Kitchen. And then after that, 2 years came a Chinese shop 2 doors up, came up, and I was cooking a lot of Dahl, so I moved into that, and then we called it Dahl and Dahl. So cooking so much Dahl. There you are, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, isn't Dahl amazing? It's such a complete meal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rice. What? How do you do it?
So I think Dahl is becoming the future because it's considered now, if you get onto Audible, Dr. Joanna has an amazing book called Gutful. And it's the latest book on why she was getting so angst about all the different ideas of what to feed the gut. Yet what happens with Dahl, and all of mine is skinless, it's the starch inside that's actually a prebiotic. So it feeds a probiotic if you give it a probiotic. So the prebiotic in the Dahl, it lasts a long time, so the glycemic index is long, which is why the Diabetic Association likes it, and it helps to prevent diabetes. But it sits into the bowel, and then all the little villi in the bowel feed on it, and you get good bacteria, basically. So Dahl is a staple, obviously, for many, many countries, more so Eastern. How I got involved was just many years ago when Ayurveda was introduced to me, and I love the cooking. And so all the different Dahls I use aren't just Moor Dahl and Masoor Dahl. It's all, there's Chana and Urad as well that I use, and Tua.
So it's got, for those who don't exactly know what's in Dahl, I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, but just roughly, so rice and the lentils, and then spices. So
Dahl in general, and anyone can correct me, yet it's Sanskrit, D-A-L, and there's many ways to write it, yet it means split and hold. So a lentil, like if we took a Masoor Dahl, it's the pinky orange on the inside, yet as a lentil, it's like a maroon colour when it's got a skin on it.
Yeah.
Yet inside it's Masoor. Moong Dahl, on the outside, the mung bean's green, on the inside, it's yellow, that's the Dahl. So traditionally, what was found in Buddhist temples, I've done Dahl, which is no skins and all the beautiful starch on the inside of the lentil.
Because the skins aggravates,
absolutely,
doesn't it?
Yeah. So the FODMAPers, if you look at FODMAP, the O in the FODMAP is about not being able to digest the skin of a lentil, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce it.
Yeah.
The dietitian or nutritionist will do it for me. Og, it starts with Og, Og-Li. So I do a FODMAP in my Dahl, but that involves Kitchery. Yet basically my Dahl is all skinless, and then the beautiful starch within it feeds the good bacteria in the bowel.
Which is, we need that good bacteria, as we, gee whiz, there's so much information about it. I think we all know that now.
And this Audible book by Dr. Joanna is saying that every second day we need to be using legumes in our bowel. Yeah. And to me that makes sense, because you're grooming the bowel. And when it's laid out, it's as large as a tennis court. So if I say to a lot of customers, eat whatever you want to eat, yeah, as long as you eat Dahl and Dahl twice a week and broom your bowel. Right? Prune the bowel. Yeah, you have to prune the bowel. And a lot of people aren't eating gluten. And for good reason in Australia, and for our wheat, and all my product is organic and GMO, so most of our wheat is not GMO. Yeah, it's genetically modified wheat that most of us are eating, so if it's not organic.
And it's all the spices you put in too that helps, doesn't it, digest the food too? You know, like turmerics, cumin, and cumin. What else? Coriander, etc., etc.
Hing asafoetida, which is the root of a fennel. Yeah, it tastes like onion and garlic. So in sattvic food, you would use that, for the taste of onion and garlic. And you've spoken to a lot of people who are practitioners of Ayurveda. I'm layman shopkeeper, and for many years though. Yet the spice absolutely is medicine. Yeah. So if I say to a lot of customers, when we stopped using spices, when we had sauce aisles at supermarkets. Yeah. You just can't buy sauce now. Don't buy sauce. You don't use spices, just buy sauce.
Yeah. Because we need that flavour, our tongue, we need to enjoy food. It has to
We
be a
love
beautiful
all of that.
experience, doesn't it? Not just to eat to be healthy.
Well, I think it's part of
Our
digestion.
taste, I mean.
It's part of
that's
it.
true.
Yeah, all of that, the sight of it, the smell of it, and that's what I love about spice. People cannot believe I get so passionate about fenugreek seeds and cumin seeds. Yeah, it is. That's the foundation of what it is that we're eating. If you take something basic in Ayurvedic food, say barley from the gluten family, or oats, or come over with quinoa, you take your basics and then you bring all your spice into it. And all of a sudden, you're the conductor, you're creating this amazing, and you do. And I think you have more respect for the food. Yeah, and you're starting, that's vegan to begin with. We use ghee. You can begin with coconut oil, like my shop's all vegan. I love ghee, yet I've made it all vegan. So
use coconut.
Yeah, Sri Lankan high grade, Sri Lankan coconut oil, organic coconut oil.
Oh my gosh, I had to get down there.
Yeah, it's coming in
Because I'm
8
obsessed
flavours.
with this food.
Yeah.
Well, I live on Dahl. I make it now at home with vegetables. I
That's
never
the
had
best that you
vegetables and
make
fruit.
it.
I live on different things, but this is my comfort food. It feeds the soul. You need it because it's, like I said, a complete meal. You get your protein, your carb, your fats.
Yeah, you do.
The astringent from the spices.
That's why I think it is such a foundation for many countries. That style of food is because it comforts you.
Yeah.
You can eat it with your hands many times. Yeah, you can have a piece of bread. I love to eat with my hands, even though that's not out at restaurants. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so that whole, enjoying food for what it is, and I think that's what we've lost, is that whole interaction. Like when you make ghee and you make clarified butter, let's say ghee, the smell of it and just staying there until the bubble stops, until it's clarified. I say to a lot of customers, that's the joy, connect with that if you're not vegan.
And I like what you said about living in the moment. So you do that at your restaurant, and how many people are there with you?
No restaurant.
Oh, sorry. Well,
No. That's
what do you call
it's
it?
not a restaurant. It's basically a takeaway.
Yeah.
And hopefully soon, when I do delivery, it's going to be more like a production. So to be the headquarters of production where I deliver, because most people love frozen. Yeah, I've got 8 different varieties, and even though the Ayurvedic doctors know that we don't do frozen in Ayurveda, this is called convenience.
It's easy for some people.
Yeah, meet
Night
people
shift,
where we're at.
whatever.
Yeah, and true,
Of
that's what it
course.
is. I do have a lot of allied, as you heard before, I'm a nurse. So allied shift workers, to take something from the freezer that's organic, somebody's made it in Adelaide from local vegetables. All you have to do is defrost it, add water, put it in your thermos, take it to work. Hello. Yeah, beautiful.
It works.
So even though we wouldn't freeze in Ayurveda, and I don't call my Dahls Ayurvedic, it's basically around that, my shop. Yet most people come in and buy, they're frozen, so they're not eating junk.
Yeah.
Takeaway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And so how many people in the
So
team?
it's not a restaurant. So it's a takeaway and basically 2-man team.
2. Right. Yeah.
if I'm lucky.
Okay. Very nice. And you mentioned sattvic food. So just for those who don't know what that is was there 3 types of foods in the Ayurveda? Sattvic being the most pure, goodness.
Tamas and then rajas.
And what are they?
Yeah. So you've got more of your emotional food. Yeah. Emotional tamas, and then your rajas, your fiery, and then your sattvic, which is the no onion, no garlic, which is the peaceful food. So I, again, because my food is frozen, I don't call my shop Ayurvedic at all, even though I stem from that and I believe in the science of Ayurveda, because it is a science. And the way that I cook is mindful cooking. And even though I then freeze the food for convenience, that's the side of it that is just for modern day living. Yeah. But otherwise, I absolutely believe in the science of it. As you know, you've spoken to some amazing practitioners prior to me being on the show. Yeah.
And that's right. You mentioned the cooking mindfully. That's a good one, isn't it? I was listening to a BK Shivani. It was her, and she said that if your children are giving you grief, or if your spouse or partner or family members, friends, anyone's giving you grief, cook for them. She said cook for them, and if you want them to change, like you want them to be nicer or calmer or just find their way or whatever it is, it can be anything, millions of options. She said cook the food and cook it and do it.
And get them involved.
Give them love, give them peace, give them guidance, this and that. And she said it 100% goes through the food, because you're nourishing them, and obviously then when you do that, then you're going to be more caring of the person. It's many elements to it, isn't it?
It's a great love story. I'm waiting.
Food.
I'm waiting to seduce that person behind my shop, Bianca. You know, who says, my goodness, the smell of your shop, Joanne.
Yeah, that's it. Wasn't there a movie with Penelope Cruz called something with was it Woman on Top or something? Was it that one? And I think she was a cook, and she used to cook like that, mindfully, and put all crystals around and put all good energy into the food, and people would come to her and line up. I think it's that. I'll find out and message you.
My Dahl,
the name of it.
I do believe, and anyone that's been in the kitchen with me, Bianca, come back to the kitchen. Bianca, come back to the onions. Bianca, come back to the kitchen. So I bring you back into the now all the time into my kitchen. So for me, it's very much about what you're putting into the food.
Intentions. I mean, we all know that intentions has a force, right? We can't deny that.
And I think food carries it. So if you think about all the food that we eat, I mean, this is pretty extreme. So if you think about all the food that we eat that we've got no idea where it comes from, and we've got no idea the emotions that are behind it.
That's true.
The mind boggles then.
So it's good when we know the person, that they really care about their food, and there are places in Adelaide and
the farmers market, that's the Adelaide Showground Farmers Market. So I've left recently to come back to do my events on Sundays, but that's what I love about the showground markets, and how Zanny created Wollonga and Adelaide. You can go and meet and talk to the makers, the creators, the farmers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you can ask them questions.
Everything. Like if you've got to buy bones for your dogs, go and meet Tom, who Nomad Farms, who has the bones, who knows all of his animals, who, to me, that's how I love it, and then it's local. Yeah.
And they'll be honest too.
Absolutely.
It's the quality, it's their nature.
Well, it's not a shop, it's your front at the market, yeah.
And I say that because I went to an organic store at Stirling. I can't remember what one it was. Anyway, it was an organic store in Stirling. And I got semolina, but as I was paying, I said, I didn't check the date. I'm a bit thingy with dates, because a few weeks ago I went to get something and the date was 1 month previous, so it made me think, well, check the date.
Yeah, I would.
There's nothing wrong, because I'm not going to eat this much semolina. It's going to take me 6 months or a year, so I want at least 6 months or a year. And then when she was putting my money through, she looked and she said, the bag says October 2020. I don't know if that's the date, if it's best before or...
When it was packed.
When it was packed, that's right, that's what I was thinking, when it was packed. And she said, let me check. And she could have easily changed it and said it was different, but she said, she didn't say it was the pack date. She looked and she said, no, that's the use by date. And I said, does it matter? For me,
Mm.
I'm not saying other people should do this, but for me, and I smelt it. She said, smell it, because your nose will tell you.
Always, yeah.
She smelt it and she said it smells fine, but she wasn't sort of forcing me to buy it. She said, do whatever you want. And I said, I'll buy it because it smells perfect. And a few months here or there isn't going to bother me, and I didn't get a huge amount. But my point is that she was honest.
I think now
And I
the
like
industry,
that.
when I got into the industry, and like I said to you, I did nursing in 1985. So I got into the industry in the late 80s. I would call it now full of bullshit and greedy. So we would have known, most of us knew each other because we weren't, it wasn't like bulk buying, it wasn't Healthy Life. I think Healthy Life was the first chain that came in. They were all individual health food shops. So we all knew each other, right? So Bianca would come in, and if we didn't have something, I could ring the semaphore, and then you could go down there.
Right.
So I love that because the health food shops were like that. Absolutely. Yet I remember my first boss saying to me that less than 10% come into a health food shop. So when they come in, please, Joanne, understand they know a hell of a lot more about what they're coming in for than what you do. Don't ever think you know more than them, right? Because so many people do not come into a health food shop. So this is years ago. Now, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And as I said, I put it into Spiro supermarkets back in 2010 before I did the Market Shell in Holland. So that was my first, yes, I want everyone to understand that health foods is there for everybody and not just in health food shops. So I thought long and hard before doing supermarkets, yet if I didn't put organics into Spiro's, he would have found someone else.
Spiro's being
Frugal, Fairview and Pasadena, and then he sold Fairview. Yeah.
You put the organics in there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, good. Yeah, but he's a great man. He's kept it honest. The Chapleys, they're good. You know, I worked for Spiro's side, so the CRG side, and so I did Pasadena first, and then I did Frugal, and then Fairview, and then and then he sold Fairview, and then the rest is history. They're great supermarkets, amazing supermarkets.
Now, just a few more things that we want to go through. Tell us about, I understand you had an issue, or you had a cliff fall from Merino Rocks. Did you want to share about that? Did that lead to anything? I suppose that would have changed your life a lot too, and the way you saw things.
As we were talking previously as well, I think the word cliff has become more of a word that I will use when you meet somebody. I'm 53 now, so even 6-year-olds have cliffs. They have challenges in life that will make them think differently about life. So my Merino Rocks cliff fall in 1993, there weren't any rails. Yet I met someone very soon after my recovery who said, I fell off a cliff. And I said, did you? And she was the owner of Zucchini Brothers back then, an organic store. And she said, yeah, I've just been recently divorced. And I went, slap. So it made me realise that, and she was a wise lady to say that to me because I was only 25 or 26, and it was like she'd had her cliff. So it was good for me to learn very early that everyone will be given some form of hurdle to use for grist for the mill, or play victim, or whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. Yeah. And my cliff was something that I've used to. Ayurveda was part of it before I fell. Still part now. Yeah. And I believe food is the medicine of the future. So I'd love to see allied and alternate medicine together. I'd love to see the two of them side by side, where we were far more involved in prevention, so we didn't have to spend so much money on the hospital system. So I'd love to see the two side by side. And
Exactly.
And
they can work together.
Ayurveda's a science, and we need to look at food as being something that can absolutely help us not spend as much money in the disease end.
Well, 5,000-year-old philosophy, it's got to last that long. There's something there.
Not only that, TCM, traditional Chinese, we've got it all around us. Ancient nourishment. I feel that we can bring into our lives and into our doctors' lives, so that we have both. You know, that we're empowered as well with our own health.
That's right. And I just want to backtrack a bit to what you said, because you're right. Like, you know, when you said, I thought it was pretty important to mention that we've got a choice too. Like you said, we can play victim or we can make it work. But and I also think, you know, perhaps, you know, someone might think something different, but there's different phases, isn't there? Like when we go through something, we have a cliff issue in our life, to put it that way. We might sort of not understand it and feel like a victim. You know, you hear people saying when things go wrong, well, why me? Or why did this happen to my family member who's so generous and kind, they did nothing wrong, and then they've got sick. You know, we hear that. So I think sometimes it's natural to question things and, you know, feel like the victim, but then it's the book starts, doesn't it, the chapters, and then we hopefully get to that point where we you know, get through.
Absolutely. I was victim, and there was a victim phase where it wasn't even about the cliff, and I ended up blaming my mother, you know, for where I was in life. You know, so I had that journey of learning the forgiveness and love with my mum. Yeah, whereas it had nothing to do with the cliff. Yet I was, you know, I was in victim mode. And it wasn't until I came out of that, and thank goodness I had a lot of people around me, you know, wherever I was at, and I think you hear whispers, and if you hear whispers and you have the courage, I've got 3 words tattooed on my arm, only three words. I'm going to get another tattoo, you never escape the schoolyard, but the first one is truth, courage and beauty. So I think to find your own truth, you have to have courage. You have to have courage. Yeah, I think you've got to be able to reveal self. Don't ever lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Yeah, I think that's when you get told not to lie. I think it's not lie to yourself.
Yeah.
That's right. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, we sort of see in, you know, comedy movies as well that we can believe our own lies, right? You know, we lie, and then it's like, well, what else? What did I say to that person? Did I say I left at 3 or 4? You know, then we can start to get
Dad
confused
used to say
by
that.
it.
Don't lie too much, because you'll start believing in them.
Yeah, and we don't know what we've said.
No,
so
then you have to look behind and go,
what did I say?
oh my God. Yeah, because if you don't lie, you don't have to look behind you.
Yeah.
That's what he always said. Don't lie, you never have to look behind you. Because if you lie, you go, what the hell did I say?
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Wise person. And you said whispers. I remember Oprah Winfrey saying that.
That's where we were on.
Did you used to watch
Oh,
her?
would have years ago, yeah.
She
Yeah,
used
would
to
have
say
been
that.
always listening to the whispers.
She
Yeah.
said God whispers 3 times or something. She used to say something like that.
One of her first
Like, in
guests
other words,
was...
we get a hint. Something happens and we've got to take a lesson.
Yeah, and if
happen
not...
again, another one.
And if not, you get a shout.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was. And I think Gary Zukav, I remember one of her first guests was Gary Zukav, and Seed of the Soul. So I remember him talking about it too. You know, Wayne Dwyer back then, you know, Louise Hay, David Days.
There were a lot of good ones back then.
Yeah,
What
no
was that
Instagram
guy, Power
then.
of Now guy.
Oh, well,
Eckhart
Tolle, he came up later off the park
He
bench.
was very quiet. He came where?
He came later off the park bench. He had his realisation on the park bench.
But they're all people who have suffered and had a journey. That's why they became spiritual too. Even that girl who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yeah, beautiful.
She was on the bathroom floor in tears. What do I do about my marriage? She says, because he was a great guy. He was basically perfect on paper, but her heart wasn't there.
Right. Don't you think we're now, like, because she went on to write Big Magic, which is such a better book than Eat, Pray,
really?
Love. Oh,
I've
God,
read that.
yeah. I think now we're at the stage where everyone has that opportunity. I think I'm over listening to the Oprah Winfrey stories, as in, I think that phase was where, yeah, do you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, I do. Because now everyone on Instagram is, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me,
That's true.
look at me,
Yeah,
look
everyone's
at me,
got a
look at me,
story.
look at me, look at me, look at me. You know, it's no different.
It's different now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
and here's my book, here's my book. Yeah, so,
True.
yeah, so I think we've gone past that. We're now into what? G-U-R-U, guru, you know, and people are realising that they're alive, or there's something about themselves. And I think we're now in, well, they say in yoga, we're in Kali Yoga, you know, Kali Yoga, the stage of ego. And I see it quite clearly.
Is that what that is, Kali Yoga?
Kali Yoga.
Is it?
Well, in basic, it's
Yeah.
that we're now in the age of the ego. Yeah, so you
think so.
You can meet really authentic people, or you can meet people and go, gee, where'd you get those lips done?
Yeah.
And, you know, they haven't really done those cheek fillers very well.
But hey, if they love it, it's all
No,
good.
it's true. And I'm not saying that's not authentic. Yet, in my heart of hearts, and this is my heart of hearts, if you were able to look in the mirror and truly, you know, and just say it's okay of who I am, yeah, I think it's a lot easier journey than, because if you do something, then you have to maintain it, and then, yeah.
That's true. I think one of the Kardashians mentioned that, or Jenner, or one of the Jenners, you know that show? Kardashians, yeah. And I think she said, you know, one of them started, and then you've got to keep upkeeping it, you know, and then it drops, so then you've got to pull it up again, back down, and up and down.
So,
but they don't tell you that when you go to the doctor, or do they? Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I'm sure they would, because they have to explain.
They were hit, yeah.
Yeah, they'd have to.
Well, I'm more into the inner beauty vibe.
Yeah.
And true, and that's I want kids to understand as they grow up that there's an inner beauty vibe. You know, that there's that we get taught, yet now they're bombarded with all of this visual and these filter children, they call them. Like, it must be so hard. You know, I mean, I couldn't have kids because of my cliff. Yet if I had kids now, I'd have them locked up in a dungeon. They wouldn't be allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah.
No, I'd be in the desert. Because it'd be so hard. It'd be so hard. I wouldn't be able to cope with such a vicious world of visual that you've got now.
I think the young ones have adjusted, because I've got lots of nieces and nephews, and I think they don't think. I think it's a problem, and that us older ones think it's a problem. But the young ones are so well adjusted, and they.
No, I've got a niece that's like that.
They were born in that era, so it's no biggie.
Right.
It's more for us.
I'll say, you're beautiful. You know you're beautiful. And she'll say, yes, I know, Auntie Jo. I'll say, you know you're just beautiful. I know, Auntie Jo.
But she genuinely.
Yeah, she knows.
That's good, right?
Say,
so they're confident. That's,
well, yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Though you're beautiful, it's not what you look like. You're just beautiful. Yeah, I know, Auntie Jo.
Right. So it's like the next generation.
It is a different generation.
Less self-doubt.
Because if you said that when I was that age, you were up yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you just up yourself.
Hilarious. Hilarious. Let's give a shout out to Dr. Bosco.
I love Dr. Bosco.
Because he told me about yourself, your lovely self. He said it a few times. He said, oh, you have to have her on.
Yeah. What a doctor. I'm showing the doctor from India on Sunday. I had 4 events through Charles Sturt. Thank you, Charles Sturt Council. A grant for education of food is medicine of the future. And they booked out very quickly, which says that, yes, we do believe that food may well be the medicine of the future where we can take back power. So Dr. Bosco is coming to this one, and the movie is about a man called Vasant Lad, and Vasant Lad was a gentleman from India who brought the science of Ayurveda to the West. So this documentary I'm showing on Sunday, and I've invited Dr. Bosco and Dr. Krishna Kumar. And Dr. Krishna Kumar brought Ayurveda to Australia. Did you know that? He's here in Adelaide. Yeah, he has a product called Remedy Herbals that we've sold for 30 years. So they're both coming to watch the movie, and then we're having a question and answers after it.
Okay, so just give the details again if someone's just tuned in.
So on this Sunday, well, it's booked out though.
Oh.
Yeah, booked out really quickly. But it's a great movie.
Tell us anyway.
It's called The Doctor from India.
We can think about you all at that time.
Yeah, it's called The Doctor from India, and it is about Vasant Lad, who I think he's a gentleman who brought the idea of Western Ayurveda to the West, and then helped us understand yoga, meditation, and then the science of Ayurveda. So Dr. Bosco I met through knowing Dr. Krishna Kumar. And as I said, who brought Ayurveda to Australia, to Adelaide, and that's when I got into Ayurveda way back then.
Interesting. And so anything else coming up you need to share before we finish off?
Have we spoken for that long?
Yeah. Well, almost the next presenter will be walking in about 8-9 minutes.
We can talk, can't we?
Yes, we can.
Nothing at all, thank you, honey. Yeah, lovely chatting to you. Yeah, really good chatting.
Excellent. Let me just go past the list to make sure we covered everything.
Coming to Dahl and Dahl. Yeah.
well-
Oh, did I bring you the 2 Dahls?
No.
Oh, I left them home. I brought you 2 Dahls from home I cooked today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. Coconut coriander snack crackle and pot, and garam masala magical Euro rye.
And actually, now that you say garam masala, what's in it? I know I could Google it, but while you're here.
Oh, garam masala is a mix of spice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different families who will have their own garam masala.
Is it,
Yeah.
it's not a set
mix.
thing?
No, it's a mix of different spices together. I'll bring them to you.
Yeah, all right. And do
Oh.
you put coconut cream or coconut milk
Yeah.
in as well?
Yeah, they're all vegan, all organic, and yes, some have coconut cream, some don't have coconut cream. Some have tomato, some don't. I've got FODMAP as well, and you can order online soon. I've got a web page that tells you all about them. Yeah, because we know that people want them delivered. Yeah, that's the new web page that's coming.
Yeah, excellent. Now that's a good
Dahl
thing,
and Dahl.
the delivery.
Yeah,
People are really into it, aren't they?
they are. Yeah, I think for
That's our
many
new
reasons
normal,
now.
isn't it?
It's a
Let's just
very
get it
new
delivered.
normal. Bring it to the front door.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thanks for joining.
My pleasure,
Thank
honey.
you,
Yeah,
thank
my
you.
pleasure.
Yes. Oh, well, what do you say? Love and lentils.
Love and lentils. Love and lentils show.
Love and lentils. Awesome.
I love it.
Thank you.
I did have 2 Dahls for you.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe it? Now, how long are you here for?
Oh, I finish in 6 o'clock now.
Done. Oh, well, I'm just here. I'm going to
Okay.
bring you 2 Dahls.
All right.
Yeah, because you
thanks.
can have some when you get home with your husband.
Yeah, we're here, so if you want to say goodbye here.
Oh. See ya. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to get the Dahls for you.